It was just a matter of time in this era, but it's officially happened. Tennessee is parting ways with quarterback Nico Iamaleava because of an NIL dispute. Nico wanted to renegotiate his deal. He was expected to make $2.4 million this upcoming season, but his representatives reportedly wanted a deal in the $4 million range. On Friday, Nico missed team meetings and their final spring practice. Tennessee didn't blink, announcing that the program is moving on. Iamaleava will hit the transfer portal, which is set to open on Wednesday. Last season as a freshman, Nico's numbers were clearly better against weaker competition compared to his stats against 10 Power 4 opponents. Nico has the skill set to be an elite quarterback, but he won't be continuing his career in Knoxville. Here's Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel.
Today's landscape of college football is different than what it has been, and it's unfortunate. Just the situation and where we're at with Nico. I want to thank him for everything that he's done since he's gotten here. That's as a recruit to who he was as a player, and how he competed inside of the building, and so a great appreciation for that side of it. Obviously, we're moving forward as a program without him. I said it to the guys today. There's no one that's bigger than the Power T, and that includes me. This program's ready to go win next fall, and as a program, since we've been here, we've won with a lot of different QBs, done it historically in my career with a lot of different QBs. Some of those guys have been older, some of them have been younger, but we'll have a quarterback that's ready to go win.
Josh Heupel saying there's no one bigger than the Power T. We'll have a quarterback ready to go. And here's a look at the QBs on the Vols roster. 2 4-stars, redshirt freshman Jake Merlinger and true freshman George McIntyre, who got a loud cheer when he was introduced during Saturday's spring game. For more reaction from Knoxville, here's 24/7 Sports Tennessee football insider Patrick Brown.
It was a seismic day here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and had nothing to do with the orange and white spring game that was played behind me here at Neyland Stadium. Tennessee and starting quarterback Nico Iamaleava parted their ways this morning. Josh Heupel informing his team at a meeting that the Vols were going to go their separate ways after Iamaleava skipped practice and cut off all communication with the Vols on Friday. That served to be the tipping point amid an NIL contract standoff between the two. Some people believe Iamaleava might have been going in the portal next week anyway, but Tennessee made the decision to move on and now figures to be looking at a quarterback in the transfer portal in the coming days and weeks. Josh Heupel said afterwards it's an unfortunate situation that had got to this point, but it's part of the new landscape of college football and the business of college football. Iamaleava, fittingly perhaps, was one of the first high-profile recruits to land a multi-million-dollar NIL contract, and he's become 3 years later one of the first casualty of an NFL-style holdout in college football.
Patrick, thank you. And for more context, Nico was asking for what some others had already received in the current market. Duke gave Darian Mensah 2 years, $8 million. Miami giving Carson Beck $4 million for 1 season. Nico is from Long Beach, California, so USC and UCLA both ideal landing spots for him. Don't expect him to transfer to another SEC school. SEC players who enter the transfer portal during the spring window must sit out the following season if they transfer within the conference. And to make sense of all of this, welcome in 24/7 Sports national college football reporter Brandon Marcello. Brandon, good to be with you. Some may say Nico Iamaleava was acting delusional. Others will say he was just trying to get his top market value. How would you describe what happened at Tennessee?
I think everybody wants to renegotiate their deal every year, but the problem with Nico's situation is that he had negotiated a deal worth $8 million from the get-go for 4 years, and then doing so, the NCAA's eyes were focused on Tennessee. Remember, the NCAA started investigating Tennessee about this, what they believe might be a pay-for-play scheme, not necessarily tied to a lot of NIL return on investment. So what happens? The Tennessee Attorney General turns around and sues the NCAA so they can save Nico's hide there at Tennessee. So Tennessee has done almost everything to protect Nico, in addition to paying what he signed up for. The issue is of course, someone out there is always going to make more than you, and he wanted more money after seeing the likes of Carson Beck, who left Georgia to go to Miami for a $4 million deal. Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong here? I'm not going to here to judge this, but I will say this. At some point, you hit a point of no return for both sides, and you just got to part ways. Also here to keep in mind, he skipped practice. He tried to continue that holdout thing that you see in the NFL. And college football, we have never seen that before. And locker rooms are very volatile. Remember, these are all 18 to 21-year-old kids, and money's something new to them. And when this is going on, they can ruin a locker room. This isn't necessarily still a business like it is in the NFL. So Tennessee had to cut bait. They were not going to pay him all that money, and he was holding them hostage. And so Tennessee, for the most part here, I would say, and talking to all the coaches I have across the country today, they believe Tennessee was in the right.
Well, it's become the minor leagues, and we are here to say that we are for players getting paid. There's no problem with that, but minor league situation here with players getting a whole lot of money. And you're right. We've seen holdouts before in the NFL, but this is new to college. Do you anticipate seeing more of this in the future, or is this going to serve as perhaps a warning to other high-profile players?
There probably will be some in the future, but you better have leverage and very strong leverage if you're going to hold out, because Nico didn't really have that leverage. And remember, Nico doesn't really have an agent representing him. He doesn't have a large agency behind him. It's mostly his family led by his father. It's a different situation. So he didn't necessarily could come to Tennessee and go, hey, I can leave here and go to so-and-so. They're ready to pay me X amount of money. That wasn't necessarily the case. He was just asking for money and didn't really communicate to them, hey, I have another landing spot. Now, that's not to mean Nico's going to land somewhere. He will. There are teams out there desperate enough that they need a starting quarterback, and they're going to pay up to get Nico Iamaleava on their campus. But a lot of coaches, the reaction to this has mostly been pro-Tennessee. In fact, I'm in Miami this weekend, and I hung out with Mario Cristobal here, and he has a high-profile quarterback. He signed to a big NIL deal worth $4 million. And he said today after their spring game that here at Miami, if you play holdout, you might as well play get out. They're not going to deal with that with anybody. And so I think a lot of coaches echo that sentiment.
Print the T-shirts right there. I love that. All right, so then the $4 million question, Brandon, where does Nico Iamaleava end up?
I think, to me, going out west back to as close to his home base there probably makes a lot of sense. That could be a USC. It could be a UCLA. But also maybe keep an eye on a program that needs a quarterback now and has an NFL coach who's known as a developer. And that team, to me, is North Carolina. We've been hearing for the last couple of weeks that North Carolina has a lot of money, and they're ready to spend it here in the spring transfer portal window, because back in December and back during recruiting, they didn't really go get the big splash type of guys. Now they have an opportunity to do so, and they need a quarterback. Why not maybe kick the tires on Nico Iamaleava and sell to him, hey, come play for a Hall of Fame NFL coach, and we can get you ready for the NFL. That's a team, to me, if he was to not go out west, that I'd be looking at right now.
Sounds like a great fit, especially when you consider what Duke paid for Darian Mensah, 2 years, $8 million. North Carolina keeping up with the Joneses and their bitter rival. As for what's next for Tennessee, expectations remain high in Knoxville. Brandon, who plays quarterback this season for Josh Heupel and the Vols?
TBA, I think they're going to hit the transfer portal and look for someone. And it's the possibilities there. Now you might see another big-name quarterback enter the portal that says, my situation could be much better at Tennessee, and maybe I could contend for a championship there. Also, I think Tennessee could use this money themselves to spread it out. So go get you a quarterback, but maybe go invest heavier on some receivers. They lost their two best receivers from last season. And remember, the passing game wasn't all that great last year. And Josh Heupel's offenses thrive on high-powered passing offenses, and they didn't have that under Nico. He had 7 games of under 200 yards. This isn't like a situation where they just lost a big-time gunslinger. Now, you could argue they might actually upgrade with a quarterback in the transfer portal and do so by paying less money. It's going to be fascinating to watch here the next 3 to 4 days if we hear any rumblings about other quarterbacks out there that might enter the portal because they've got eyes on Tennessee.
Nico Iamaleava and Tennessee parting ways. Brandon Marcello from 24/7 Sports with the latest here on CBS Sports HQ. Brandon, thank you. Great stuff there. Great perspective from Brandon. For all things recruiting, 24/7 Sports is the destination with a network of resources. 24/7 Sports delivers the latest news and information across the college football and college basketball landscapes. You can also access content from 24/7 Sports on YouTube, including Josh Pate's College Football Show.